Hello. This is gonna be another OU battle, and it's gonna be basically this. I'm gonna be using the same squad that I used when I was against Teslamouse the last battle. And this battle is going to be up against sanicthehegflames, or at least that's how it's spelled in his username. But yeah, even though I lost with this team against Teslamouse like really badly, I kind of wanted to see how this team would fare against other teams. So I was looking for someone who was looking for battles as well, and I was like, this guy's looking for battles, let's battle him. And we have this battle, and now we're gonna see who he leads off with. He leads with Volcanion, which is someone I've never seen, by the way, and I'm gonna lead off with Zapdos. Now I'm confident he's not gonna want to stay in because Zapdos is an electric type, and I went just for the Volt Switch here, and he's gonna switch into Springtrap, which is the Tyranitar. Gets the Sandstorm up, which is gonna be annoying because of the residual damage and whatnot. And I'm gonna go into Zygarde after the Volt Switch, and here I go for the Glare. But as you're gonna see right here, I paralyze this Tyranitar, and it stays fully paralyzed. And this actually matters a shit ton. You have no idea, because he's gonna switch out now, and he's gonna go into Benedict, which is the Togekiss, and I go for the Substitute. Because yeah, I felt comfortable doing that. And here I can't really touch this Togekiss, and the only thing I can really do to this thing, honestly, is just go for another Glare, as this thing goes for a Aura Sphere. So this thing breaks my Substitute, but as punishment I'm basically gonna go for the Glare and keep this thing paralyzed. I really wanted to paralyze this Togekiss because I was really afraid of this thing being a Scarf Togekiss, which is something I've seen a lot in the battle spot, so I was wondering if they'd actually use that in 6v6 as well. And yeah, this one wasn't though. But I switch out because the Substitute's broken, and I didn't want this thing to also have our Hidden Power Ice, you know. And even if it didn't have it, it could probably have Dazzling Gleam or something. But I didn't want to risk it either way. So I switch into Zapdos, and here I'm just basically ready to go for another Volt Switch, because it doesn't seem like he's going for anything that can switch into basically. But now he finally switches into something that can that is basically immune to the Volt Switch, and then he goes into this Garchomp, and I was afraid this would be a Scarf Garchomp, but it's actually a Mega Garchomp, and he sets up Stealth Rocks in my face, and I was like, oh. I go for the Roost just to stay healthy, especially now that he got for the Stealth Rocks. I need to keep the Zapdos as healthy as possible. He switches out though, and I'm like, huh. And I think here I go for a Hidden Power Ice. No, I go for Defog, just wanting to get rid of the rocks. I didn't want the rocks in the way. And he goes into Springtrap, which is the Tyranitar, and the Sandstorm thankfully goes away. And I switch out, but he goes for the Pursuit. I really felt like I should have Volt Switch right there, but I didn't. I go into Heat right now. This was actually risky as fuck, because honestly he could have just Earthquaked me here, but I just switched it in, and I went for the Stealth Rocks. And then he goes into Volcanion, and I go for a Toxic now, because this Volcanion is literally just standing here trying to Steam Eruption anything that switches in, because if I'm forced to switch out here, I just basically get a lot of damage taken. But surprisingly, my Heatran actually takes the Steam Eruption pretty well. I don't know if this is a fully invested special attacking Volcanion, or is it invested in other stuff that pretty much makes it so that Heatran can actually take, because I never thought Heatran can actually take a Steam Eruption from a Volcanion. Like, hello? But yeah, he does take out my Heatran with another one, but I already got this thing poisoned, and I got my rocks up. So, and I go into Togekiss, and I go for a Tailwind. I was confident that seeing how Heatran could take the Steam Eruption, I was figuring that I could take a Sludge Wave from this thing if it had it, and it did, but it didn't take it as well as I wanted it to, just because of the crit. And now I just go for an Air Slash, because yeah, I didn't want this thing to get away with too much now. So he goes back into this thing, and I think here I actually just went for the Roost. I wanted to see if Stone Edge can kill after the Roost, so I just went for the Roost, and I'm now back at above half. This thing is paralyzed again though, so yeah. And I take some Sandstorm damage, and I retreat and go into Jirachi here. Now here I think it's gonna, yeah, it goes for Ice Beam, which is probably why that glare, that full paralysis after the glare on Zygarde really mattered, because it probably was trying to go for Ice Beam, and I basically got a free sub up because it got fully paralyzed, which is really crazy actually. Now here it's safe for me to go for U-turn because for one thing Tyranitar doesn't take it very well, and on top of that I can get switch initiative if he happens to switch out. And I go into my own Togekiss, and I just go for more Roost because I wanted to see if I can keep this Togekiss as healthy as possible, because I think I can use this to I don't know, answer other things I guess. And this thing goes for an Air Slash, and it does a lot of damage. I think here I still try to go for another Roost, because honestly looking at how this thing has Life Orb, I figured, you know what, it'd be good to keep this thing healthy then. But here I think I go for another Roost. He switches into the Nesquik, which is the Excadrill. And because Sandstorm is up, I'm actually a little terrified about this thing, because I know these things hit really damn hard. It's only a matter of whether this thing is like Choice Banded or Life Orb or something. So I switch into Zygarde, and he just goes for the Iron Head. So it's like, that does quite an amount. Not as much, and it's Life Orbed. This is why Zygarde can sometimes be quite beneficial, I tells you. And he switches the thing out because he doesn't want to risk this thing getting Earthquaked. He goes into Benedict basically to sack it just to see what I'd go for. I was gonna go for the Dragon Tail. I should have went for the Substitute there, because I would have been behind a Substitute at least. But now this thing gets a free switch in the Garchomp, and I'm like, you know what, why don't we retreat then? And I think here is where I go to Togekiss. And he goes for the Draco Meteor, which thankfully doesn't kill me. So, and then he went for Stealth Rocks again. Why, I don't know. But I just go for the Hidden Power Ice right here. Once again, this Hidden Power Ice actually coming really handy. But, because it takes out the Mega Garchomp. And now he goes into Miggy, which is the Galvantula. But I switch out because I didn't want this thing to take anything. I go back into Zygarde because it's immune to it, and if it goes for Bug Buzz, I think I can take it okay too. Because Galvantula is not really that freaking powerful to begin with. It hits relatively hard, but not as hard. Not as hard as Volcanion anyway. But he gets the Sticky Webs up for whatever it's worth, because at this point, most of my mons are usually like, they're relatively slow too anyway, so. And this thing is paralyzed, which is really good because it kind of negates the Sticky Webs to begin with, so yeah. I go for a Substitute here because he switched out, and I kind of had a feeling he was going to do that, so yeah. And here I think I just go for Earthquakes until this thing dies. This Tyranitar. Because this Tyranitar was basically proving that it's a threat. It even carries Ice Beam, which is really surprising, but at the same time I can see why, because again, it's like the same reason I run HP Ice on Togekiss. It's just to hit all those damn dragons that are X4 weak to ice moves. Orlando T. Anyways, I get rid of this this Tyranitar with Zygarde. It breaks my Substitute in the process, but he now goes into this thing, and I'm confident I can take an Iron Hit. I just need to not flinch. But I flinched, unfortunately, so that's kind of unfortunate. But now I think the other thing I can do is also just stall out the turns of Sandstorm. He gets a crit with that Earthquake. I don't think it mattered. I think it was doing a lot with Iron Head to begin with, so gets another Life Orb, and I go into Zapdos, and here I was kind of hoping it wouldn't have the Rock Slide, and it kind of did actually. But because of the Citrus Berry that I for some reason still don't understand why I have it, I was able to live the Rock Slide, so yeah. Now I just needed to make sure I don't miss with the Heat Wave, and thankfully I don't miss with the Heat Wave. So yeah, I get rid of Nesquik, which was probably the last threat on this team, because honestly, this guy's team, from the looks of it, was actually a Sandstorm team with Sticky Webs, which is scary actually. It's a well-made team though, because the Sticky Webs is probably for the Mega Garchomp, which has less speed than the regular Garchomp, so Sticky Webs can kind of negate that, or at least help it to function properly. But yeah, it goes into Galvantula now, and it just scales my Zapdos because I decided to let it go because there was no need for it to be around anymore. So I go into Lopunny now, and I just Mega Evolve into Mega Lopunny. and now I'm just going to just kill it with a return, which was a risky play. Honestly, I could have just gone for the fake out and just not have to take this damage, because if I got paralyzed, I swear, that was a risky play there though. But yeah, I killed the Galvantula with Mega Lopunny, and that's gonna be the game. I don't know how many mons he took out, but it was an interesting game in my opinion. Like, his team was pretty interesting because it was a Sandstorm team with Sticky Webs with Mega Garchomp. Like, Mega Garchomp you don't really see very often, so it, you know, that just kind of makes it interesting to begin with. But yeah, that's gonna be a good game, and stay tuned for more Wi-Fi battles if you're looking forward to that. So yeah.